you know, we get a lot of photographs come to the Nashville Arts Magazine, people that want us to do stories on them. But this email came in, and Katie sent it over to me, and said, this email came in for a photographer. And I said, great, I have a look at it. And I opened it up, and it was the picture of one of the window people, of the guy with the #1 there. And I thought, what on earth is that? I said, this is serious business here. This is not just a guy taking snapshots. This is a guy who knows how to take a photograph. I don't know a whole lot about photography, but I know when it's really, really good. And this one knocked my socks off. So I called him, and I said, you know, this is the Nashville Arts Magazine. And he said, yes. And I said, I love your work. I'd like to come out and talk. And so I showed it to Jerry Atnip. Here was our photographer at the magazine. And Jerry was equally stunned. Who is this guy? What's he doing in Nashville? How comes no one's ever heard of him? You know, it's a pretty tight community here. Everyone knows who everybody is and what they do. I said, I don't know, guys, Norman Lerner. He says his name's Norman Lerner. So we packed off in the car with Katie and drove off to Mount Juliet to find Norman Lerner. And when he opened the door, it was totally not what we expected, because he had told me on the phone, he said, I'm 83. I thought, okay, well, we'll just be really slow. And up comes this guy, virile, he's like this, his chest is out, his tight chin. And I thought, oh my goodness, he looks more like a movie star than he does an guy, and it's the truth.
So please talk loud, because my hearing is bad.
Then Norman took out the work, and then he went into his studio, and then he pulled out the work, and I mean, to say it is just breathtaking, I think, is to demean the work. It is truly, I think, some of the best photography I've ever seen. And every single one of these images just makes you go, you know, how comes I've not seen this before? Or, who is this guy? And it wants you to get deeper into him. That's how we discovered him, and since then, I think a lot of people showed interest in him. I mean, why wouldn't they? And I think the floodgates have quite opened with Anne doing the show, and Susan has taken an interest in your work as well. Tell us a little bit about how the window people, this intriguing series of people looking out of windows, how did that come about?
It was very interesting. As you know, I have the camera with me all the time. And that's a camera. But, you know, I was working commercial photography, but still there was something else that had to fill my life besides the commercial work. And I was completely enamored with New York City and with all the things that are going on with it. And of course, on weekends and after work, I would go out and I would shoot if something interested me. I was never a compulsive shooter. That is an important thing. There are people that just take loads and loads and loads of pictures. If you should go through my contact sheets, you generally would find that I maximize maybe 3 times shooting more than 3 times a particular situation. In other words, there was this woman who was discovered recently, Vivian Mayer, and she has hundreds of thousands of negatives, my goodness. And I don't react to everything, I don't shoot everything. If something catches my eye and there's something about it that stops me, then I have to photograph it. Anyway, we had lived on 68th Madison Avenue, and I walked across the park to the west side, just looking. And as Cartier-Bresson would say, if you are receptive, you should be receptive. And if you are receptive, you will react. And I was walking down this particular street, and there are many times you'll be sitting in a restaurant or someplace else, and you're aware that someone's watching you. You know, you turn around, and sure enough, someone's watching you. And I became aware of this particular individual looking at me from about the 3rd floor of this old brownstone. And it's photographed all the way on the other side. It's called Presence. And I turned around and I automatically photographed this individual. I don't think I made more than 2 exposures on it. It was a very difficult shot to print because it occupied only a very small portion of 35 millimeter, and 35 millimeter, as you know, is small enough as it is. And I photographed him, and that was the first time that I had done a shot of the window people, and I became aware at that point that there was a complete subculture in New York City of people who literally lived their lives through the window.